Overwatch Twitter apparently dropped big stuff. Can you link me?
I think
Story missions season 6. Wait, so does that mean? Is that the PVE?
We just ended up finding out that everything we were
Hey yo! New support hero. Flashpoint, new map, hero mastery. Wait, that's actually gonna be really cool. Wait, firing range, player progression system, Overwatch anniversary, and more. Wait a minute. Look at season 5 too. 5v5 mini comp season. On Fire returns. Wait, On Fire system comes back. Pog. Creator workshop mode. Wait, what is that? Does that mean like actual creator, like people who make workshop maps? Pog. And then season 7 and beyond, new tank. Oh, so after the next hero that's a support, it's gonna be a tank hero. Pog. What is this like my god, I don't remember what it's called. It's Nemesis? Is it the Nemesis? I don't remember. They're the enemies in the Overwatch. Null Sector. New collaboration event with a limited time mode, new control map, new winter event, new hero mastery missions, multiplayer. Wait, so is hero mastery is PVE? No, it says multiplayer. Unless it's multiplayer PVE. Roadhog rework, fan favorite return mode, cinematic debut, competitive mystery heroes returns. That's a long way away though. Somber rework, season 7 and beyond is the somber rework. That's tough. No way.
Hey guys, Matt Mr. X joined by some special guests. It's game director Aaron Keller and executive producer Jared Noose joining me here.
Hey, Jared and Aaron, it's time for the juice.
Matt, great. Thank you so much for having us today.
Wonderful. Thank you for having us on the show.
Oh, no problem. And Jared, I think I wanna start with you. Is you have been tweeting a lot lately, tweeting about a roadmap, saying it's coming mid-May. It's been on my timeline a lot.
I do have an update. We're gonna run through the roadmap today. We're gonna talk about what's coming in future seasons. We're gonna talk a bit about PVE.
Finally, time for the juice.
I think to kick us off, I wanted to ask Aaron to give us a little bit of a history lesson and some context.
Yeah, you got it. We announced Overwatch 2 in 2019, and a part of that presentation was about this always-on, deeply replayable PvE experience. And as work slowly continued on Overwatch 2, we began to pull more and more of our focus and energy away from the live game and all of the people that were playing it. We had players that were excited to be playing that game, and they just wanted more of it. So we had a difficult choice to make. We could continue working on our original vision for Overwatch 2 without a definitive end date in sight, or change our strategy and get something in front of players sooner. We chose the latter, and we released Overwatch 2 last October with new heroes, new maps, new modes, and regular seasonal updates. But more than that, we shifted our values for how we want to develop the game. No longer would we store content up for really big releases and leave the game sort of languishing on the side. Now we made a commitment to always prioritize the live game and all of the people playing it, and to devote our development efforts there. This game is nothing without all of you.
Yeah, and I really can't say enough about how much we've learned over the past 8 months or so.
I feel like there's a
more
butt coming.
We've taken that learning and we've put it back into the game. So as early as Season 2, I think you start seeing some updates we've made based on your feedback and based on what we've learned. We've been changing all of our systems. We've been adjusting hero balance way more frequently, constantly revisiting the roadmap behind the scenes to make sure that what we're planning to deliver is going to be great for everyone out there. And that really has been an awesome experience for us. And partially it's because we feel like we're able to deliver a better game to all of you. And partially it's because we hope that you're enjoying
Adjusted hero balance shows Roadhog.
The original game was kind of slowing down a little bit in development. But at the same time, development on the PvE experience really hasn't made the progress that we would have hoped. The team has created a bunch of amazing content. So, there's awesome missions that are really exciting. There's brand new enemies that are super fun to fight, and some truly great and ridiculous hero talents. But unfortunately, the effort required to pull all of that together into a Blizzard quality experience that we can ship to you is huge. And there really is no end in sight or defined kind of end date where we can put that out into the world. And so we're left with another difficult choice. Do we continue to pour all that effort into PvE, hoping that we can land it at some point in the future? Or do we stick with this set of values that we've aligned on and focus on the live game and focus on serving all of you? With everything we've learned about what it takes to operate this game at the level that you deserve, it's clear that we can't deliver on that original vision for PvE that was shown in 2019. What that means is that we won't be delivering that dedicated hero mode with talent trees, that long-term power progression. Those things just aren't in our plans anymore. And we know that this is going to be disappointing to many of you, which is why we wanted to bring it up before we talked about the roadmap. And to be perfectly honest, it's been really difficult for many of us and a lot of folks on the team who've poured their heart and soul into that stuff.
Going forward, though, rather than doing a big one-time PVE releasing and rather than pouring all of our efforts into these singular releases, we're planning to make co-op gameplay and co-op experiences just part of our live roadmap. So we want you to be able to experience it more
cite the
often
reason for why there was only
with
3
more
heroes at the
variety
launch of
than
Overwatch
we had
2?
originally
It was
announced.
because they were
We're
working
going
on
to be
talent
releasing
trees?
our first major story-based event featuring a new set of missions, and it'll kick off a brand new story arc for Overwatch. And beyond that, we have a lot more co-op features planned. Some canon and some very not canon. And we just want to give ourselves flexibility to explore the universe of Overwatch and its cast of heroes and villains, as well as just try new things. We're going to continue to find the most exciting ways of bringing new experiences to the running game on a frequent and consistent basis.
Let's bring up that roadmap that Jared was talking about, because Jared, there is a ton coming to Overwatch 2 soon.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous actually when you see it all laid out like this. Let me just do a quick run through. There's a lot to absorb, and we'll be talking a lot more about this in the coming months. But in season 5, you see us dip our toes into that very non-canonical storytelling that Aaron mentioned. And we're not talking about all the details of what that season is going to be like, but it's going to be a brand new experience with a really cool, very integrated narrative for the Battle Pass. A bunch of new features and playable experiences, plus a bunch of returning favorite features. Season 6 is going to be the biggest season we've ever released, and arguably the biggest live release in Overwatch history. A ton of great PvE story content, but also that new support hero, a new permanent game mode that's going to go into unranked and competitive playlists.
Oh, it's a new game mode.
Season 7 and 8, we have another hero, a tank, coming this time. New control map. There's a ton to look forward to this year.
I know, when I see the roadmap, I like jump from like one side to the other. I'm like, oh, that looks cool, but then what about that? Like, oh wait, well, hold on, what's this? Where I gotta ask you guys, starting with Aaron, what's one of the things that you're most excited about coming to Overwatch 2?
Yeah, I have the same reaction when I look at something like this. It's just so easy to get lost in all of the details. I would like to talk a bit about the story experience that we want to deliver and how we want to kick off this new story arc for Overwatch. That's going to come with a whole new set of missions and cinematics, and it's even going to come with like new story features for the game, like a lore database that players can unlock over time. And then additionally, we're going to be running a PvE event that season with a co-op replayable mission that's going to take place in a new section of King's Row. And then on top of all of that, a new single player version of a PvE experience where players are going to be challenged as individual heroes to run through courses and get the highest score possible. So it's going to challenge aim
that
skill
stuff's cool,
and the way
but
people use abilities in order to be able to get to the top of the leaderboard and compete with friends and everyone else.
Oh, that'll be cool. I can't wait to message you guys and ask why I'm not higher ranked on those leaderboards. But feel free to block me when I do that. Jared, what about you?
Yeah, I'm. My answer is kind of a cheat. When you ask one thing I'm excited about, it's kind of all of it. Like more specifically, like the thing I'm excited about when I look at the roadmap is that we're finally finding our footing and like really bringing distinctive themes and feels to each one of our seasons. And then in season 6, we're actually going to change the way that we present seasons to players. We're going to give these seasons names and their own identities, and we're going to theme everything around them really tightly.
Yeah, no, it's super cool to be able to see like all different types of content for all different types of players coming, which this has been a massive update, a ton to look forward to. Thanks for stopping by. Is there anything you guys want to say before we go to the rest of the community?
Yeah, I'd just like to give like a big thank you to all of our players in our community. We've talked a lot today about how our overarching value, our overarching goal for Overwatch development is to always be putting new things out in front of the community and to be supporting the game in the best way that we possibly can. That's that's what this roadmap is about. It's about showing you all of the work that we're putting into this game. So thank you everyone for playing. Thank you for your commitment to the game and all of the feedback that we've gotten from all of you.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you to everyone in the community for playing. Thank you for supporting each other. Thank you for supporting our team. Can't wait to hear what you think of everything we have coming. Please do send me, I don't know that I need to ask you, but send me more of your feedback on social, and look forward to seeing you out there.
Yeah, well, thanks again, Aaron and Jared, for stopping by. It's always great chatting. Tons to look forward to. And guys, check out Star Watch in-game now. Get a chance to play that. And always stay tuned for the next dev chat. We'll have one coming soon. We'll see you there.
I can't believe they had a 30-minute Star Watch segment to hit us with a 10-minute one of that. We went through 3 years of Overwatch 1. We're not even going to count 2019, even though 2019 they'd already kind of shifted away. 2020, 21, 22. Literally, we played the most dead, non-existent, left-alone game in hopes for what we will get in PvE and PvP, and we'll have a nice, fun game. And here we are, Season 4. And I'm going to be real with you. I haven't been that impressed with Overwatch since Season 2. Season 2 was the last time I was, like, actually impressed.
We are here with you.
And, you know, it's like, you know, they're kind of still, like, wrapping up PvE, you know. It's probably, they wanted to probably ship it by the end of the year around BlizzCon. You know, they're probably trying to finish it up. We'll get more content eventually, but hey, it's going to be a good time. You know, we're going to be able to replay it. It's going to have talent trees. All these things that they cited when Overwatch 2 comes out, originally. Just not fucking real. They killed Overwatch 1, arguably one of the best PvP games of all time when it was actually supported, for a game that isn't going to come out. Overwatch 2 is literally an update plus a shop update. They just lied to us? I wouldn't even say they lied to us. That's not it at all. I think that, you know, there's actually, you know, who knows how long this has been a thing. Maybe this is why Jeff left.
What is absolutely bonkers is that recently WoW just had a major patch on May 2nd, legit a week later the next medium patch is on PTR. WoW has had more content released than WoW2 has produced in its entirety. You could legit look up the recent
You know what's crazy is Overwatch seems to be the guinea pig for it, for WoW. Overwatch started doing a bunch of drops. Now WoW does drops. We had that Brig event last year.
About everything.
We had the Brig event last year, and then WoW did a Brig event, like with their own like it was like a pet or something, and it popped off and went crazy. We're literally the guinea pig game, where they just throw random shit at us, and then they do it elsewhere if it works. The Donkey Overwatch 1.2 video is gonna go hard. Oh yeah. Overwatch is a game that rose from the ashes of Titan, an ambitious MMO that Blizzard pulled the plug on. In the wake of this decision, developers at the studio reworked ideas that they had for Titan into what would become Overwatch, a hero-based multiplayer shooter that was critically acclaimed and hugely successful. Blizzard's Team 4 is no stranger to picking up the pieces of a shattered project. Ouch. But this process has been kept behind closed doors. The Blizzard way is always to keep games out of public view until they were ready to be seen and release them only when they're as close to the ideal vision as they could possibly be. That isn't the way anymore. Not for Overwatch 2 anyways. When the sequel to Overwatch was announced at BlizzCon 2019, where the game was also playable, it was the promise of a PvE component that would allow players to gather their squads and play through a narrative-driven multiplayer experience. On top of that, each of the heroes they'd come to know and love would be reworked for PvE and given progression systems that would allow players to unlock new talents. It was ambitious new mode at that. In many ways, was used to justify the 2 at the end of their title. Chat, if you've never seen this before, I need to just show you really, really fast, okay? This shit looked so fucking cool back in 2019. And, like, this is just some reporters' gameplay footage. This isn't, like, you know, Seagulls and XQCs and a couple other, like, you know, there was a bunch of really fucking big streams that were going on. I wasn't a streamer at the time. I was just some random fan, you know what I mean? And I remember watching this and being like, holy shit, I'm so excited for this in the future. And like, this isn't even like the crazy parts. Like, it gets crazy as you go in. There's like whole cinematic cutscenes and bosses that you have to take down and how to fight them and whatnot. I'm not going to play too much of it. I'm sure you can find gameplay out there, but like, it looks so good. That was 2019. Now, however, Blizzard has confirmed that the promised PvE component will not be released at all. That's not totally true. I think they're still going to do like story missions, but in a video, game director Aaron Keller and executive producer Jared Nuss said that the team had made the decision to take PvE elements of Overwatch 2 in a different direction, in a detailed of a roadmap for upcoming seasons that reveal a new hero, maps, rebalances, and a number of story-focused additions. According to Keller Nuss, this decision was made for the good of the game and its live multiplayer component. Whether that proves to be true will be judged based on the execution of the upcoming seasons detailed in its new roadmap. But regardless of this, Blizzard and Team 4 pitched an experience that won't be realized, which no doubt confuse and frustrate players. GameSpot spoke to Aaron Keller and Nuss, what led to the decision and how Team 4 intends to try and make a good rise from the ashes of a failed idea once again. Yeah, Shade, me too. This is definitely why Jeff left, for sure. The big talking point is the direction you are taking with PvE. That you basically aren't doing it. Is that a correct way to categorize it? It's not happening anymore, and that you've pivoted away from it? I think I would characterize it slightly differently, which is we are doing part of what the team had set out to do, but not entirety of what we discussed back in BlizzCon 2019. So the real focus is on story missions, and that the experience is as opposed to the more open-ended hero mode and stuff. So the original campaign, that's it, basically. Right, so it's fair to say, so it's going to be a one-time, you're going to play it once, probably. You'll play it once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times, and then... Fair to say the experience that once you showed during the first Overwatch 2 reveal is not going to be the one that's released at any point? Yeah, exactly. So we are definitely not doing the hero mode or the talents that power progression system. When did you realize that you weren't going to be able to execute it in this way, and what led to the realization? Yeah, this is a process. This development of any game is a process. In the years following our announcement at BlizzCon 2019, we had a really large portion of our team working on the PvE side of the game. And I think players of our live running game could feel that because we stopped making content for it. Listen, I respect and like Aaron a lot, but like this just ignited like a little, like a piece of rage in my soul. You know, like, let's not sugarcoat it. Like, let's not sugarcoat it. For like 3 years, literally abandoned the game outright. Let's fucking say it what it is. It's been maybe 2.5 years since the last hero that we launched. Wait. It's been maybe 2.5 years since that last hero that we launched. And we don't want to be back at that point where it's another 3.5 years since launching a PvP map. Yeah, so they're talking about the dead time of Overwatch 1. So we looked really hard at what else we were doing with the live game in service of much bigger things that we were working on and hoping to release later. Okay? And the interesting thing about it is that in such a difference releasing content for players, that we are playing your game instead of saving it up for all the content in one big release. Okay, so they're saying they want to do more frequent updates, which makes sense, that you're going to do later. So we came to a realization that this wasn't the right way to be developing all of Overwatch. It was about 1.5 years ago we made a decision to really shift strategy. That's when we rapidly shifted the resources in our team onto launching Overwatch 2, and that's what came out last October. But at the same time, what we came away with as the first experience was a new value for developing Overwatch. It was a new value for running the team, namely to always putting out fresh, exciting, fun new experience for our players. As we were running up launch Overwatch 2, we realized that we could not build that other game. Wait a minute, wow, holy shit. As we were running up to launching Overwatch 2, we realized that we could not build that other game. We couldn't save up all of that content over the course of what it was looking to be the least the next several years to finish it. And by doing that, pulling more and more resources away from the people that are all playing our game, and that all the people be playing Overwatch 2. So we made a decision later last year that we would focus all of our efforts on the live running game and all of our PvE efforts on this new story arc that we're launching in Season 6. And on top of that, to keep all of our PvE efforts, all of our co-op efforts invested in our seasonal releases rather than one big boxed release. Wow. So it's going to be a seasonal release, probably. That means we'll probably get campaign missions, like 1, 2, or a couple every season. Imagine trying to get into an anime and you can only watch an episode once every 2 months. They knew before Overwatch 2? Yeah, they've probably known this for a long time, but there was no point in saying anything because they had the momentum of Overwatch 2's release and the game doing well. Why shoot it in the foot and talk about PvE? It's probably at the point where it's just like they had to talk about it now. And you got to realize that stream was not promoted. They kept it really under wraps. They're probably hoping that only a small amount of people are going to pick up on this. And I don't think that's going to happen. Presumably, the resources, time, and other necessities that you would have needed to make PvE were factored when you originally came up with this plan to create the game. What has changed since then in your position where you can't do it? I guess it's probably they don't have enough people. I guess it's a general answer, but I think it's totally applicable here. When you make a plan originally, it's based on the general idea and direction. Then as you develop the game, it's not developing a piece of bank software or something where there's a finite set of functions it has to have. When you get into the meat of it and you start feeling it out like, okay, well, this is fun. Is this good? Is the original idea the thing that we think is going to be awesome? And then we iterate on that until you find something you're really excited about. Once you're kind of in that, okay, we have a good idea of what direction this could go in, question is, well, what does it take to get there? And I think if you're building a game where you start taking the exact same engine, the exact same team, the exact same crew that has already shipped the same thing, and you're doing version 3 or version 4 of it, it's pretty easy to plan well in advance. But for games like this, it's tougher because the team was building something that is totally different than anything we had built before. These story missions are significantly different than archives or other ways that we've told stories inside the game before. That's at least hopeful. And so developing those and what it takes to do that, the technology required, the people required, the iteration required is all different. So I understand that people think it's probably relatively simple. It's definitely not. And especially because what you don't want is to just try to build the thing, get it out the door, and move on. You want to build something that really resonates and people love. So I guess my take is that it's just the team learned more about what it took to make this, and as it learned more about time, the iteration and technology required, it just became clear that the schedule was going to work. So they basically just said, yeah, it was way more work than we thought it was going to be. And because they probably don't have a big enough team. Their team is probably too small, and they don't want to hire more people. And the team's already expanded a ton in the last year. I think they're at like 300-ish or something like that. But even then, like, they still need more, which is fine. But it's like, dude, if Overwatch is like a money printer and they're making a bunch of shit, like, I don't know why you wouldn't invest more into it. But like, they probably could, like a lot of companies, they try to run skeleton crews and try to massively make huge profits. They probably realize, wait, our PvP is making tons of money on skins and shit. Our PvE is probably not going to make that much more. Okay, why are we sinking all this money into this thing that's probably not going to make a lot of money? Because everything else is, like, wow, brain is really on fire today. I mean, literally. Yeah, I think the scope of the hero missions was really, really large, and what it's going to take to finish is going to be pretty remarkable, massive lift. You think about making a game that is supposed to be almost its own standalone co-op experience that people are going to be able to play as a main game, and not how you put all your content in to finish it. I remember Seagull talking about this in his Overwatch 2 video that originally came out. Even just a small piece of it, the talent tree is 40 to 50 talents per hero plus 35 plus heroes. You're looking at thousands of talents to make everything just get the game out the door. plus all of the content and the missions you'd have to be playing to do that. This is a pretty gargantuan task for the team, and then on top of that, you need to run that as a live game, so content has to continually come out for that side of the game. In reality, what we're looking at was running 2 separate games at the same time with a set of heroes as the piece that is shared between the 2 of them. And we started to get further and further into it. Obviously, our players could realize that they were pulling focus away from the live game, but it just didn't look like there was a definitive end date in sight, and where they were finally able to put a stamp on it. Wow, so they basically just said, like, they just basically said sunk cost fallacy at this point. We put so much into it where we've realized that there's no point in putting any more into it because we're just like burning dev resources and burning money and burning time because we're never going to be able to get to the end of it and it's going to cost too much. Or that end date was years away and no longer felt like we were going to be doing that to our players, or we could be doing that to the live game that we were running. And that when we took that moment to shift strategy, it put everything into the live game. Wow, so they've been putting everything into the live game for a long time. That's even scarier because I think most people kind of thought, hey, they're probably still working on PvE in the background. That's why PvP hasn't been like totally up to snuff, you know? But it's like, you know, whenever that does release, there'll be more dev resources out there. You want to build something that's really resonates and makes people love. As the team learned more about what it took to make the PvE model, as it learned more about the time, as it learned more about the time, the iteration and the technology required, it just became clear that the schedule wasn't going to work. I think there's going to be a lot of frustration on how we got here because Overwatch has always been a live game. So people are going to think, well, you knew this was a live game, yet you pitched this other Overwatch game, and then you also justified on the 2 on the Overwatch title with that. So we're in a situation now where the game is what it's always been. It's evolved in some ways, but a sequel was released, and that sequel's justification hinged on PvE. Why did that happen? Great fucking question. That's a great question. We talked a lot about in the past about Overwatch 2 and how different it is from the original game. Even just being free to play and swapping to a 5v5 team format and all the new content that we've developed for it. To me, that's the biggest change that we're looking at here. Nah, Jared, or Aaron, I can't give you that one. I'm sorry. It's not that we're just having some of the same heroes in the game. It's the way we're writing the game and how it looks at the game going forward. What does writing the game mean in this context, though? The story's not like a thing. Like, we're going to have a story mission, but like... I really hope that the roadmap we just released is something that illustrates that to players. It doesn't, in my opinion. We have a lot coming for this year, and even if you look at Season 6, it's the biggest season that we've ever... Honestly, they should have just gaslit the community, just pretended like it wasn't a thing. Like, yeah, PvE was never real. What are you guys talking about? Honestly, that might have went over better. It's the biggest season we've ever launched in the history of Overwatch. We have a new support hero coming out in that season. We have a new game mode. So there'll be a new game mode Season 6. Cool. We've never released a new game mode as a seasonal update ever in Overwatch. It has 2 new maps coming out with Flashpoint, and we are running a PvE event that season with a whole new type of PvE content that will be releasing with our single-player hero mastery missions. Overwatch Anniversary is running another event, and then on top of all that, we've got to start with our new story arc and the new story missions, cinematics, and other lore content such as the Lore Codex. It's all packed into this one season, and this is the future of what we're trying to bring to Overwatch 2. That's what I hope players can take away from this experience, the shift in the way we want to develop this game, and we want to put in front of our players. Man. Yeah, just to build it on that a bit, I think it's interesting thinking that this over time, coming to the team a little later and seeing the state of things and building this plan going forward, because the original pitch was this big monolithic thing that releases. It has all this pressure and expectations set against it, yeah, and then really the decision that was made was not to walk away from PvE or to totally sort of abandon this side of the game. It was to move into a model that we knew we could deliver on. That's kind of just rephrasing it, to be honest with you. Like, it's just wordplay. Obviously, you're not going to deliver things that are already almost finished. That's dumb. We know that if you get into the seasonal cadence, we can release things during seasons in a way that can give the plan for effectively that we think is going to be really exciting to players. Oh no. That, more to the point, gives us time to adapt to things for players before you release it. And I think moving away from that idea of this one big singular PvE release moment and more into a, no, we're going to do PvE stuff all the time. We have all these plans. Season 6 has 3 different flavors of that and have a bunch of other versions of that coming up in the seasons after that. For me, that's really the important thing here. We want to acknowledge that it's not the thing that people were expecting, but also have high confidence that we can deliver in the way that we're shifting now, which for us is really exciting. But you can never ask anyone to take your word for it. So the hope is that once we start to release stuff in Season 6, players can start to believe it too. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm one of those people who doesn't believe it right now. We were talking the other day about live events and the things that like that in the game, and Aaron off the top of his head rattled off how many live events Overwatch 1 generally had in a season. Oh, don't you dare gaslight us with, well, you have more content than you had in Overwatch 1. Don't you fucking dare. In a year, it was 6 or something. Now it's like 3 a season of varying sizes, and we have all these seasons in a year. I'm gonna get really mad. For us, it just feels better to the path, or be on this path where we know we can constantly release updates to players, tell us a story in an ongoing, unfolding way, and not to wait for this big singular moment. Nah, that kind of pisses me off, to be honest with you. To be like, well, you know, in Overwatch 1, you didn't have nearly this many events. Yeah, but you also didn't have a fucking monetized shop where you were basically pumping out stuff to get farmed and make more money off of. We had a one-time retail purchase price in which all the updates after that were free. Of course it's going to be less. Of course it's going to be slower. Now you're incentivized to make more content and incentivized to push more shit out because it will make more fucking money. No shit. To use that as like a weapon and be like, well, yeah, well, now you're getting way more than you used to. Yeah, but honestly, you could argue that if you didn't slow down original Overwatch and you kept going fast with it, and if anything picked up the pace, you could have actually kept one of the best games of all time going. Instead, we killed it off, brought it back with Overwatch 2, and it's doing okay, but like this, I think for a lot of people is going to be really a nail in the coffin type news. There's a lot of live first-person shooters out there, and you have been competing for the attention. The thing about Overwatch 2 that really was exciting for me was a lot of the fan base was PvE. It was a big swing for the team, and the distinguishing factor. What is the impact of not having that? What would you describe as the big swing of Overwatch 2? Well, it's not a competitive game, so I hope they don't say that. It's a great question. One of the things I've always loved about Overwatch, and I think it resonates with players, is the universe and the world that we've created. All the heroes that we created and all the heroes and the characters that inhabit it. The Overwatch universe is this bright, inspirational future. And I can't relate. And I think that all of our heroes really resonate with players, not just who their characters are, but their backstory and their lore. I think why a lot of people are so invested in Overwatch PVE or Overwatch co-op content is because they're not really able to deliver a ton on that story in game with the standard PvP gameplay. I mean, that's not technically wrong, but that's not a differentiating factor. So I think for us is that side of PvE that we really want to continue running with is that Season 6 is. It's the start of this big narrative where players get to find out more about Overwatch, and they do get to find out more about what's happening in the world, what's happening with a lot of characters in-game. So we really committed to the PvE side of the game. Dude, if you really wanted to go story mode, then you make a Netflix special. Like, if you genuinely believe the story is what people want, I feel like you'd be going like a full anime route. On the top of that, we have multiple cinematics coming out this year that will either help set up the story that we'll be telling in Season 6, or to further some of those characters that we were working on. And there's more to come. There's other pieces of the story, like features that we're bringing to the game. Another one that we're doing for Season 6 is our lore codex, where players will be able to, if they want, dig in a lot more into what the universe is all about. So I hope players can see that we're still committed to PvE and we're doing more with the story than we've ever done before. we're doing it in a different way than what we originally talked about. Nah, I don't like that wording. That's like manipulative. It's like more than we ever done before. Yeah, no f***ing shit. If I have a full water bottle and I have never drank from this water bottle ever before, I have now drank more from this water bottle than ever before. Wasn't hard to beat. We started at 0. One of the most exciting things for players when they saw PvE was the characters, and you were pitching was really interesting. Different ways of using their abilities seemed specific to PvE. It felt exciting to have this new twist on heroes. Is there any chance of that coming back, or is there going to be opportunities in these PvE modes to play these characters differently, or is it going to be largely familiar heroes but in new contexts? We'd love to see more of that in the game, and while that was an integral part of our hero missions, we're no longer doing those. So those won't come to the game in that way. But we had put a lot of work into our hero talents, in that there were a lot of exciting things, not just with gameplay, but with the fantasy of what a hero was when they could start interacting with that hero in that way. So we'd like to bring those back in the future. It's just going to take a different form than being a part of a new co-op game experience. More broadly speaking, how long is this thing? This thing is fucking... Oh, it's almost... Okay, never mind. More broadly speaking, you've probably done a lot of work on PvE, but how much of all that is going to make its way into the PvP or repurposed? I know a lot of people often think repurpose is bad, but at least it'd be in the game. There's a lot that went into developing PvE, and it's not just the content we made. Some of this is tools and technology, and if you look at Junkenstein's Wrath of the Bride from last year, that was using all of our new mission technology that had developed for Overwatch 2. So the PvE content that we develop in the future is going to be using all the technology and tools that we created before. It'll be using new enemy ecologies that we've developed in Overwatch 2. There's a lot of really big story mission maps that are going to be coming out with it. And then we talked a lot about... And then we've talked a lot, and we have plans about different ways that we can bring some of the other content forward, whether it's talents for heroes or even some of the missions that we started developing for the release. But it's all going to be coming out seasonally, keyword, and in different form and with a different purpose than what it had been before. So we'd like to repurpose some of it, and then we'd also use that technology to build a bunch of new stuff for us also. Yeah, I think the breadth of the experiences that we've been able to deliver this year, are significantly different and more interesting than a lot of the live events that Overwatch 1 had. And I think a lot of this is because of the work that went into PvE and the engine revamp. So going forward, I think this should just expect a lot more of that, and a lot more pretty wild seasonal events where we're experimenting with that buff, or that stuff. And all the cool non-canonical stuff like Battle for Olympus, we're augmenting hero abilities, things like that, which you expect to see a lot more of in the future. Nah. If all of the PvE events in the future are literally just like Battle for Olympus goofy game modes, like, I'm okay with having those sometimes, but if that's what PvE is, it's over. PvE, whether its stated goal or not, was not looking like a tool to broaden the appeal of the game. It was looking like a tool to broaden the appeal of the game, and thinking that people who can't or don't enjoy playing in online competitive environments could do single co-op and have this interesting, unique experience. That means the Overwatch player base diversifies and grows. The guy who's interviewing sounds like a Flats watcher. This is like all stuff I've talked about. What does axing PvE and reintroducing some of those ideas into PvP framework mean with the ambition of broadening the appeal of Overwatch and getting new players in? Yeah, this is a really interesting one for me, because I think if you only enjoy single player or PvE only experience, then Overwatch is going to be a little bit tough for you right now. But once you get into that sort of mindset of frequently releasing PvP and PvE event content, and where every season has something really interesting for people to play in a lot of variety, I think that can be good for... We can speak good jumping on point. Wait, I think it'd still be a good jumping on point for people who may not love hyper sweaty PvP matches or really just want to see some cool story content with characters they like or whatever. For me, it's the combination of being free to play now, which is inherently removing a pretty big barrier for a lot of people who just can't spend the money to buy expansive games. I mean, yeah, but like, the question was, PvE could broaden the player base by a lot, and it's like, yeah, well, PvE does. I mean, free to play does that. It's like, what? We're trying to diversify every single season, and we've got a bunch of different experiences that people can jump into. So if you're the kind of person that wants to grind competitive mode, that's totally cool. If you're the kind of person who wants to come and play some arcade, there's this cool co-op mode for a seasonal event that I can do, and that's awesome. And you want there to be more there. So I don't really see us springing this huge audience of PvE-only diehard shooter players. I do see us being a really appealing game for anyone who just loves fun shooters and likes to learn new heroes and try different stuff. So yeah, it's kind of a different approach, but I also think our goal is just to make the games as welcoming as possible for a broader group of people as possible. Oh, this is still going. Holy okay, it's almost over, I guess. PvE was a part of Big Overwatch 2, so people are going to think, well, those devs are going to get laid off or moved elsewhere. What is this impact not doing PvE anymore? I don't think that's going to happen. They don't have enough people. As it stands, people, most of the time we talk about organizational issues. One of the really cool things is, as we were able to take a bunch of people who have awesome expertise building new enemy types, big PvE missions, and big PvE worlds, and integrate them into the live game team with everybody else on the team. So instead of having this big monolithic PvE, oh yeah, okay, so this is, they don't have enough people to make the game. So they're basically saying people aren't going to get laid off. They're going to be able to use them in other areas. Blizzard also has been a studio that puts out highly quality games, and if a game isn't going to make it, we just never see it. That's always been the way it is. It's a very rare look at the process where you tried something and realized you failed. How do you think that reflects on you as a team and as a company? Okay. Aaron's blogs every two. I don't know. This question is kind of like just, whatever at the end. My belief is the reason why they're playing PvP games is because they like that game that they're playing. So it's up to us, development team, to continue to make that game as good as they can possibly be. And that's the real story here. How do we take the resources that we have, the team that we have, and is so passionate about this game, to make what people are playing the very best version of it can be? That's our focus right now, and that's what I hope the takeaway from this can be. Oh, there's a Samito video? Oh, bless. Yo, this is going to be good.
I don't even know where to begin. I disappointed, devastated, heartbroken, depressed, upset, down astronomically, pissed off, angry, gonna pop an aneurysm in my neck or something. I don't know. I want to say, before I get really pissed off here in a second, I really appreciate the honesty from Aaron and Jared.
True.
It takes a lot of balls to come out and just be like, yeah, guys, how you envisioned PvE, how we promised PvE in 2019 with skill trees, Borderlands-esque replayability, the reason why we stopped making Overwatch content for years. Screw over all the creators, the players, everything. Yeah, that's not gonna happen anymore. It takes a lot of balls to come out and say that, and it's not their fault. I'm not trying to point the finger at them. I want to respect it because it takes courage to do that, and I appreciate your all's forwardness. Thank you. Okay? It takes a lot of balls to do that, and I don't think they deserve any hate. I don't think they're accountable for it. But holy hell! Why? Like, I was hoping so much to be proven wrong of all my years of ranting about this damn game from a place of love, that they deliver and I'd look like an idiot, which is not hard for me to do. And all of this light at the end of the tunnel, everything we were waiting for, the replayability, the skill trees, the expansion of what made this game fantastic, is just flushed down the the drain like
God, I love Sam.
a day of Chipotle on the toilet. It's terrible.
God, I fucking love him. Dude, he just snapped his head. Wait, he actually just unironically snapped his headphones. He snapped them! That's a snap!
I've never
So
more
goodbye,
happy to
PvE.
someone like
It's dead on
Samito
release.
in the community
It's
to
dead.
truly express
They
how
failed.
we all feel strong.
At least they admitted it. But what a freaking heartbreaker. It's over.
I already have my response to this tweet. -1
What did I
headphones.
miss? OMG.
Keck. At least there's cool shit coming in Season 6, but I'd probably see myself leaving Overwatch after Season 6. Play the campaign, play the stuff that we waited years for, play our one time, have our one last trip around the sun at that point, and then I think we head out. We head out, boys.